Delilah had moved to Bisbee, Arizona with a motive. She was determined to get answers. When Delilah got off her flight, the first thing she did was take a bus to Bisbee. She managed to find a cheap motel where she could progress on her mission. Before long, she found the people who she was looking for. Delilah kept a keen eye on the Sanders residence. She communicated with the townspeople now and then, at shops and stores, and got information on the Sanders family. But that wasn't enough to get the answers that Delilah needed. Delilah discovered the Sanders were a rather big family. Mr. Jake Sanders and Mrs. Joanne Sanders were the owners of the house, and they lived there with their son. They also had a daughter, but she was married and lived elsewhere. Mr. Sanders' brother, Roger Sanders, and his wife, Emma Sanders, were also part of the joint family and lived with them. Oh, Jake Sanders' mother is still alive. She must have a lot of experience. Soon Delilah found herself a grand opportunity when she discovered the Sanders were hiring a maid for their house. They were looking for a woman who could take care of the house and provide care to Jake Sanders' mother. This was her chance to enter the Sanders residence. The next day, she walked up the porch of the Sanders house and knocked on their door. Mrs. Sanders opened up. "Hello, how can I help you?" "Hi, I'm Stella. Is this the Sanders residence? I was interested in the job offer I read in the newspaper." "Oh yes, I'm Joanne Sanders." "So you would like to take up the job? Do you have any prior experience of being a maid?" "I assure you, I can manage the task with my eyes closed. You won't regret hiring me." With some persuasive words and cunning logic, Delilah was able to get the job. She packed her things and moved into the Sanders house the next day. Delilah was friendly to all the members of the family. She kept notice of everyone's daily routine, and she discovered every inch and corner of the house. The Sanders grew to like Delilah. They enjoyed having her around, and they appreciated her hard work. "You were right, Stella. You're doing very well around the house." Delilah had very cleverly earned the trust of the Sanders. But that wasn't the reason she was there. Delilah was constantly searching for something. And it wasn't before long that she found what she had desperately wanted since the day she reached Bisbee. Early one morning, right before everyone would wake up and come to the dining table, Delilah was out in the backyard garden. She was just about done digging out the mound of dirt. She pulled out a box. Delilah's eyes watered up in joy. Her mission had been completed. Delilah had returned to Austin, Texas. She got back to her friend's apartment and dropped off all of her luggage. Delilah hurried out the door and drove all the way to the hospital where she would meet someone that was waiting for her. She watched her beloved laying on the hospital bed as she entered the hospital room and sat next to him. "You're finally getting better." "I feel like I'm recovering. The pain is slowly starting to go." Delilah and Clark had first met when she enrolled into BII University in Austin, Texas. Clark was in his 4th year of college at that time. The two were madly in love, and although the two hadn't mentioned anything to each other, they both were determined to spend the rest of their lives together. By the time Delilah had graduated, Clark had found a decent job in the city. Their relationship had progressed a lot over the past 5 years, and Clark was planning to propose to Delilah soon. One of these days, he received a call from his hometown. He was informed that his mother had passed away, and his family members were urging him to visit them at her funeral. Without explaining much to Delilah, he left the next morning. Delilah had noticed that Clark had looked upset when he was leaving. And why wouldn't he? He had just received news of his mother's death. Delilah didn't know much about Clark's family. Clark never liked to mention them. After about 1 week, Clark returned to Austin. Delilah was surprised to see that he had lost quite a bit of weight in just the 7 days he had been there. He looked pale and weak, and it seemed like he could barely keep his baggy eyes open. "Clark, is something wrong? Did something happen?" "No, it's nothing. Just feeling a little sick." Delilah was no fool. She knew that something was bothering Clark. She kept on insisting until he finally opened up and began telling Delilah what happened. "Delilah, they set me up. When I reached there, I found out my mother was absolutely fine. They all planned to trap me into going there, so that they could make me go along with their ridiculous agreement. They knew I wouldn't have gone if they mentioned anything of the sort, or even called me to visit them. So they had to make up the false news. I fell for it like a fool. They had planned to marry a girl to me according to an agreement they had set many years ago with that girl's family. I refused to sign the agreement, and it was as if chaos had begun in that house. I couldn't stay there any longer. It's all just roaming in my head." Delilah was amazed at how Clark's family thought they could take such a big decision for him without even consulting him. Had his family not known that he was in a relationship with her? They would soon get married. After he returned from his hometown, Clark suddenly began to behave distant from Delilah. And one of these days, he called Delilah to meet urgently. Delilah was heartbroken to find out that the reason he called her was to end their long-term relationship. He said he needed alone time, and he didn't see a good future together. Numerous thoughts ran through Delilah's mind. She began to suppose Clark was having second thoughts about his parents' marriage offer to him, with that girl in his hometown. Perhaps Clark really did want to marry that girl. Her suspicions soon made her hate Clark, and she stayed away from him. Until one day, she received news that Clark was in the hospital. She rushed to meet him. When she learned why Clark had been so distant, why he chose to break off the relationship. "Delilah, you know I don't like speaking about my family. I've left them a long time ago. They aren't good people. They're involved in many evil things. All my family members are part of a secret society, and the agreement they had made was nothing but a ritual according to their evil superstitions. They had made a pact with another family who also belonged to the secret society with them. They had made a deal that if my parents would give birth to a son, they would marry the son to their daughter. I was unaware of the matter till I became of proper age. I never approved of the despicable things they did, and we never got along for this very reason. When I was 18, I moved out and came to Texas, where I managed a job and got into college. I made the worst decision of my life when I went back after getting the news of my mother's death. I should have known they were nothing but trouble, and they were only up to evil. They would sacrifice anything to maintain the code of their secret society. Anything. Their rituals were so horrendous, I can't mention them on my tongue. When I refused to go along with their agreement, they cursed me. They used magic on me. I don't know how much longer I'll live. I want you to be happy. Try to understand, Delilah. I love you, but I won't be able to survive this." Delilah had a hard time digesting all that Clark had revealed to her. She had to get to the bottom of whatever was going on. Clark's health condition was deteriorating day by day. If she didn't do anything about it, she would lose her love forever. That was when Delilah went out in search to learn more about the secret society that Clark's family belonged to. Delilah had gone to every library, every bookstore, every place where she could find some information on the matter. At last, she met up with a university professor, Henry Connery, who had a lot of knowledge on this hidden society and their traditions. Professor Connery, can the rituals performed in the secret society actually cause harm to others? Delilah, these people can be very dangerous. It's a world beyond ours. They can summon evil from far and wide. It wouldn't be wise to meddle in their affairs. No, Professor, it's a matter of someone's life. I must learn about them. I can advise you, but Delilah, you must be careful. You're playing with fire. Under the guidance and advice of Professor Connery, Delilah spent days and nights discovering the hidden, deep, dark secrets of magic. Delilah had then headed off to Bisbee, Arizona, to Clark's hometown, to spy on his family, the Sanders. When she had completed her mission and returned to Austin, she was relieved and overjoyed to find that Clark had finally begun to recover. I don't know how I'm recovering from this horrible sickness. I thought I wouldn't be able to survive this. It was impossible, Delilah. Don't worry, Clark. I've fixed everything. Nothing will ever happen to you again. From the minute Delilah had stepped into the Sanders home, her only motive was to find the hidden source of their evil. She spent her days keeping a keen eye on everything Clark's family members did. And before long, she was able to uncover the secrets behind their rituals and ceremonies. She searched day and night until she unearthed a box buried in the backyard. She was confirmed of their evil when she found strands of Clark's hair enclosed within, binded with a charmed thread. When she had gotten rid of it, she returned to Austin, Texas. Soon Clark had recovered a great deal. When Delilah had discovered the secret box, she had discovered the cure to Clark's sickness. And not only that, Delilah had discovered a way to eradicate the real cause of the disease. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.